Okay, worship leaders, the range singing mistake. This is part 1. Be sure to subscribe and to hit the bell notification so you can see the rest of this series. The first singing mistake that I see is either squeezing your vocal cords too tight or not tight enough. Too tight would be like, you have no rival. Or not tight enough would be like, you have no rival. Squeezing too much or not squeezing enough. Bouncing back and forth between these makes you feel like you're shooting in the dark, and it's actually really emotional. You feel really strained on some parts and way too breathy on other parts, and almost like you sound good one minute and not so good the next minute. It can be very emotional. Like if you've ever had true doubts about your singing, this could be why. And guys, this is not your fault. Like everyone in the singing world tells us to either just push harder for more range or sing softly because that's the only healthy way to do it. It's kind of these two extremes. We hear stuff like support the note or sing from your diaphragm. Or on the flip side, stuff like, oh, just flip into your head voice. It'll be fine. And of course we want to sing well, so we do whatever we think is going to accomplish this, right? But let me show you how this actually works. In order to make sound, your vocal cords simply need to make contact and vibrate together along the inner edge of that muscle, okay? Literally, if your cords can vibrate and connect on that note, you can sing it. It's really that simple. Your vocal cords simply thicken and thin out for the different notes of your range. Lower notes are thicker, high notes are thinner. Try this with me. Just hold your hands like this and sing a pretty low note. And then as you sing higher, your vocal cords thin out to get to that higher note. Now, if they squeeze too tightly during this process, you start to strain, you get kind of a wobbly tone, and you'll get tired, like your voice will get tired very, very fast. You might be producing a lot of sound, but it's not always going to sound good or feel good. You have no rival! I mean, the average number of songs that a really squeezy singer can sing before they get tired is 2. And they cannot sing as high as they want to sing. Now, you might find yourself on the other end of that spectrum where you're not squeezing enough and everything's a little bit too breathy. There's not enough connection. So instead of the vocal cords being squeezed too much, they would be like this, just open still, and the air is coming out. And so everything is a little breathier and softer than you or the people listening wanted it to be. This causes fatigue too, just in a different way. And this time you're really limited in your low notes. Sometimes you can hit those high notes, but they're still really breathy and they just don't have the sound that you're wanting. You might be struggling with both of these different things at different points in your range. This is super common, and it leads to singing in like survival mode, like over squeezing sometimes and then too breathy some other times. And if you're trying to sing strong and you get up to a higher note in your range, it's like eventually you reach a ceiling where you just can't go anymore, and eventually your vocal cords have to go from really squeezed to disconnected and open and just breathy. That would be like this. You have no rival. Survival mode feels like you constantly have to adjust your voice back and forth and be on top of it in the moment, and you can't just relax and let things happen intuitively. But I want you to be able to hit every note every time. So remember this whenever you're singing low notes that are uncomfortable and high notes that are uncomfortable. Your low notes need more musculature, more thickness, and then your high notes need less musculature, less thickness. That would be like this. What a beautiful name it is, what a beautiful name it is, the name of Jesus Christ my King. What a beautiful name it is. Nothing compares to this. What a beautiful name it is, the name of Jesus. You have no rival, you have no equal. Now and forever, God, you reign. So try this at home. Remember, you cannot sing any note unless you're at the optimum level of thickness for that note. And if you want to hear more about how the vocal cords create higher and lower notes, watch my free masterclass for worship leaders. Click the link in the description below or in my bio, and I'll see you at the training. You can also find the links to part 2 on power and part 3 on confidence in the description box below.